Howdy folks, Mackie here with Mackie Red Horsemanship. We have a new horse in. He's a Mustang horse. His name is Moose. And his owner Pat came by and we spent a little time together. And this is basically his first day. And I asked Pat if she would just kind of show me what she does when she works with Moose in the round pen. So, and I asked her if she needed a rope, if she needed a stick and string. Did she want a stick with a flag? Because there's lots of different ways that people work their ponies, but I tried to make sure that she had whatever she needed anyway. And she chose to just use a rope with a halter on it. And so what we're going to do is just kind of watch her work Moose and see where we can help. And also the second half of this video is me working Moose in the round pen. So we'll have some sort of like benchmark that we can use to help Moose out. And so when Moose goes home, he's still going to need lots of help. So it's really, really important that his owner, Pat, understand, what I'm doing with him and, the language that I'm using with him to communicate with him. So she's doing really good now. She's just waiting in the center of the round pen. Most people, when they get in the round pen, the first thing they do is they want to run their horse off or make him do something. And that's probably the best way in the world to get a horse to not want to come to you, because every time he comes to you, you got something for him to do in the form of work. And remember, horses they're basically lazy. If they're not the laziest animals on the planet, they're pretty darn close to it. So Pat likes to disengage his hindquarters and move him around a little bit when she starts. And after we talked a little bit, she made the observation that she really didn't have get a lot of time to work with him, and that's true. We both split the amount of time that we worked on this video, but she likes to move him around a little bit, move his front end, move his hind end, and she's done a really good job with him because he's really responsive to that. Moose has a tendency to not want to go forward, and so that's really what I'm trying to help Moose with while he's here, besides trying to get him over being afraid of his shadow and anything else, a rabbit or anything else that jumps out of the bushes. So we're trying to help him with that, but also trying to help Moose think about moving forward, because if he won't go forward, you can't teach him anything. You can't teach him to stop if he won't go forward. You can't teach him to turn right or left if he won't go forward. So there's so many things that require a horse moving forward, especially a horse that's fearful. Because if you're on their back and they lock up and they get really scared, the next thing they're going to do is explode underneath you. So she's going to try to get him to go around the round pen. And when she does this, he wants to go the other way, and she's really going to do her best to get him to go the direction that she wants him to go. But you'll notice that she has a little bit of a difficult time with this. She's trying to get him to move his hind end around and then encourage him to go off. And he starts to, but she stops. And when she stops, he thinks he's supposed to come to her. So she stops, he turns around and looks at her. So he's just a little bit confused, and Pat is having a little bit of trouble getting him to go in the direction that she wants him to go. She's going to get it though. She'll get him figured out, and she'll get him going in the right direction. But it takes her a little bit of time here. And again, you notice he doesn't want to go forward, and she backs up, so he thinks he's supposed to come to her. You saw him there; he shook his head a little bit in a little bit of defiance, like, you're not the boss of me. And she said that's been a bit of a problem, in that he is, he's kind of an independent little guy. So you're going to watch him as he works around here. He's going to show that independence in the fact that he's going to drop his head and shake his head and letting Pat know that he's just really not very happy with what he's being asked to do. But as you notice, Pat gets him going the right direction. There's he swings his head again, but she gets him going in the direction that she wants him to go, and that's really the key, right? I use the round pen primarily for two reasons. One is to establish myself as a leader in the herd, and the other reason is to get the horse to learn to move forward. And lots of people use the round pen for lots of other things, and oftentimes they use the round pen as a tool to wear their horse down before they saddle him and ride him, which is really, really unfortunate because we just teach the horse to be wound up before he goes for a ride. Pat does a good job there yielding his hindquarters, and when he comes, she stops and she waits for a little bit, which is really, really good. She has a lot of skill, Pat. She's been around horses a lot, and she just probably not as aggressive as I would be. And here again, he decides he doesn't want to go the direction that she wants, and so they're going to talk about it here a little bit. And I'm sure that I'm sitting over there spouting words of wisdom to her, and probably doing a lot to confuse her, and I apologize for that if that's the case. But she's doing a pretty good job. He just does not want to move forward. She uses her rope as a tool for bringing up the life in him. You'll see her wave it at him every now and then. And that's her attempt just to get him to move forward. And she does a pretty good job of it. But you can see how he looks outside the round pen. He really doesn't want to be in there. He throws his head is high. Doesn't really have any desire to be with Pat. In his mind, she doesn't have a whole lot of value in his life. So far, she hasn't really made him do much of anything. But this is kind of how things go with folks and their horses at home, is that the work that they do in the round pen just becomes a trick. It becomes a rehearsed dance, if you will, between the owner and the horse. And the horse knows that if he does these things in a certain way, that he'll be rewarded by, he'll get the stop. So a horse will quickly run through his repertoire of things that he thinks his owner wants, and then he will be done. But I want you to notice that he's trotting, but oftentimes Pat's swinging a rope at it. Well, trotting is what we've asked him to do, unless you want him to go faster. All that pressure should go away, because pretty soon what will happen is the horse will just begin to ignore any kind of direction that we try to give him, because it doesn't mean anything to him. We've been swinging that rope around forever, and he hasn't had to go any faster or go any slower, and can just kind of, for the most part, do whatever he wants. And he's just doing it at a nice little jog, but her language doesn't mean very much to him. So she's asking him to come or go to a walk, and she misses her opportunity, and so he comes to her and she stops, and he thinks he's done the right thing, when really she probably wanted him just to walk and just to keep walking. But her timing's a little bit off, and that's not unexpected. People that have horses that don't do this every day, for a living, and who don't work at it every day, their timing isn't going to be as good as somebody who's doing it all the time. And there's no disrespect to her. I've been working with lots of different horses for a very long time, and I've been blessed to have that opportunity. So she and I are talking here a little bit, and you can see that Moose, he's really relaxed. He's more interested in what's on the ground than what she has going on. But every now and then you'll see him step toward her, and that's a great opportunity to encourage your horse to keep coming to you. So we talk about it and we decide to switch. So we're going to switch, and I'm going to go to the center of the round pen, but I'm not going to do anything. That's what I tell people. The first thing you do when you go get in the round pen with the horse is do nothing. Just go find your spot in the center of the round pen and wait. Let your intuition tell you what the horse is going to do. Look for clues in the horse and his body language and what he's trying to tell you. That either he wants to be with you and maybe you have value, or he has no interest in you at all. And that's basically what Pat and I are talking about right here. So I'm going to go to the center and I'm going to stand, and I'm going to wait and see what Moose does. Now, I've only worked with Moose one time in the round pen the day before Pat came to see him. So this is his second time me working in the round pen. But you notice as he steps toward me, I walk backwards. When he stops, I quit. I stop. So I'm going to walk to the center of the round pen. I'm going to wait for a few minutes, a few seconds rather, and let's just see what he's going to do. My body language is telling him I'm not asking him to do anything. If he just stands there and looks at me, I'm happy with that. That's perfect. Here in a little bit, I'm going to ask him to go off to my left. He's kind of facing that way already, so I want it to be a win-win deal for the both of us. So I'm looking to take advantage of whatever he's willing to give me. So he's looking to my left, and so I'm gonna take advantage of that. So when I ask him to go, I'm not going to step backwards. I'm going to step toward him and toward his left front shoulder to move him off to the right. A lot of people think you should go after the hind end to make the move. Well, if the front end won't go, the hind end surely isn't go. So if I can get the front end to go the direction I want, the hind end of this horse doesn't have any choice. And you're going to see that. As soon as I get his front end to go, his hind end will follow that front end. But if I focus my attention on his hind end, all he's going to do is just go in a circle. He's going to be lunging me. So I'm sure I'm spouting words of wisdom here. I'm full of it. That's a joke. I think it's really important when you're working a horse under these circumstances in a round pen that you do take your time. Don't be in a hurry. It's better for the horse if he can just stand with you for a little while rather than automatically been asked to go to work. So you see him push his front shoulder, it goes, but he doesn't try to turn and go another direction. Why? It's because of my body position and I'm pushing him in this circle. So that's why, unlike Pat, he didn't just turn around and look at me, because my intentions are for him to move forward. And so it's clear, it's perfectly clear to him, as opposed to not really knowing what he's supposed to do, and he tries to come to us. So I'm just going to have him go in a circle. Here directly, I'm going to ask him to canter. But right now, I'm just happy with the trot. Remember, I'm looking for three things here when I'm working with the horse. I'm not having him run in circles because he got nothing else to do. There are things that I want him to do, that I'm looking for in him. So I'm looking for his inside ear to fix on me. And the next thing I'm looking for is for him to lick and chew. And then, if I can get him to lower his head to the ground. And those are all signs of submission, that he's paying attention. His licking and chewing tells me that he's relaxed, he's not tense. And then when he begins to lower his head, that's his way of asking for permission to come back into the herd, this herd of two. So oftentimes the horse won't lower his head very much, so I'll use the rail on the round pen to help me keep track of where his head is when it starts and when he begins to lower his head. So it may not be a big abrupt drop of his head. Sometimes it is, but oftentimes it's just right there. It's just a gradual lowering of the horse's head to the ground. It's his way of saying that he's sorry or he's willing to submit to my leadership. I'm asking him to canter, and now he has to keep cantering. If he goes to a trot, I'm going to point, I'm going to cluck at him, and I'm going to raise my flag right there. So every time he goes to a trot now, because he's been asked to canter, well, he'll get in trouble with me point, cluck, and use raising my flag to get his attention. So we just keep him cantering here for a little bit. And in the next lap or two, I'm going to ask him to trot. And I'm not going to say anything to him. And I want you to see if you can tell how and when this all happens. Notice my energy matches his energy. So I'm walking in a faster circle as he is having to canter in a fast circle. And I'm looking for this opportunity to ask him to trot. Here it is. There's the trot. Now, if you weren't there and you rewind it and look at it, it's going to be difficult for you to see, but it wasn't difficult for the horse to see. There his head begins to lower to the ground. And so since he's done that, I'm going to ask him to come to me. I'm going to reward that behavior right here. And I'm going to step back. As long as he walks toward me, I'm going to walk backwards. If he stops, I'm going to stop. He stops, so I stop. And then I'm visiting with Pat here a little bit, and I'm going to walk her through the next part of what I'm doing by drawing a picture on the ground. And the picture illustrates the horse and my relationship in proximity to the horse, and how I'm going to walk what I call the arc. I'm going to begin to walk an arc around this horse, and the minute that he moves his hind end out of my way, I'm going to step off and see if he'll follow me. Now you can see he really wants to come. He's just not really sure what to do. He takes a step forward, takes a little step forward as weight goes forward, and then he kind of steps back again. He's just really not sure what I want, which makes sense. So here I'm drawing the picture. I'm explaining what I mean by walking the arc. So I'm going to walk an arc to my right, and then I'm going to walk back the other direction. And each time, if he doesn't move toward me, I'll just get closer and closer. But he picks it up pretty quick. So when I first begin to walk this arc, the minute he takes a step toward me, I want to be walking away. So I'm walking this arc, there's a step toward me. So I just keep walking away. Change direction, and you notice how he just catches right up. Now he wants to be with me. He wants to follow me around. Because he knows that if he stays with the leader, everything will be quiet, everything will be good. So we make just a little lap here, so I can show Pat exactly what I'm trying to tell the horse. And then what's going to happen, I'm going to go back to the center of the ground pen, and we're going to go the other direction. But this is pretty much where the video ends. So when I get to the center of the round pen, I'm not going to run him off. I'm going to let him stand there and rest with me. I want him to know that being with me is a good deal. So I appreciate Pat allowing me to use her in this video. She did a heck of a job with this horse. He's a sweetheart, but there's a lot there that a guy's got to work with. And I'm very excited to have him here, and have enjoyed working with him so far. So I appreciate all your support. My website's here on the end of this deal, that you can contact us if you'd like. All these tunes are by a bluegrass band I used to play in called Live Bait. Appreciate all your support. Please share, and we'll see you down the trail.